Hey everyone, Nick Yuskevich back with Daily Fantasy Winners. Got the next edition of Tee to Green here for you, and it's for the Quicken Loans National. This is a tournament in the Washington TC area. It's at TPC Potomac this year. I think it was there last year as well, but it is a tournament that's hopped around with some different courses recently. Like Congressional, I know has been used. I think there was a course in Virginia that was used one year somewhat recently, but so not a ton here to go off of with course or tournament history here. And this is a tournament I actually think that is potentially moving sites again next year, and it might even be moving to like Detroit or something like that. I think that was rumored that was possible. So it's a little bit of a funky thing when it comes to that stuff when looking at the historical things. And this field is not that strong, obviously. We've got a couple of the top names, I guess, or top-ish names, but as you can see, this is like we've got 6 guys, $10,000 or above, and you see, Fowler, Leishman, and Tiger, like okay, but having Molinari, Stanley, and Holmes all 10K plus is that's pretty interesting, and so you can kind of just tell already out of the gate that this field's not that strong. But we've had a lot of strong fields recently, so it does make sense. And we've got the British Open coming up here pretty shortly. So this is a week I honestly like. I just recommend kind of like, I mean, you don't have to pass, but like I would definitely be limiting your bankroll potentially this week. This is a little bit of a higher variance week just because we don't have as much data to go off of from a historical perspective. It's a really weak field. It's kind of a weird just setup in the way the odds are set up and the way the salary structure is going to be this week. And so I just don't think there's going to be a huge edge to play here one way or the other. From what I can tell, this obviously the strokes gained tee to green is going to be a bigger deal here. This is kind of a tougher golf course a little bit. The winning score was Kyle Stanley won it last year. I think it was like 7 under is where he ended up, the score he ended up winning at. And so it does seem like it's a little bit on the tougher side, at least from a 1 year example for whatever that's worth. I do think it's probably because it's a little on the shorter end. I'm guessing strokes gained approaching the green is going to be the main thing to look at as far as the strokes gained statistics go, but strokes gained tee to green, of course, as well. But they'll have a little bit of the strokes gained off to tee, but primarily strokes gained approaching the green. I think it's going to be mostly a ball striker's golf course, just based upon 1 year's worth of data, which again I don't like, but that's what we can kind of gather. And so, again, not a bad week to kind of just to limit your exposure, just pass on or whatever it's going to be. But anyways, we'll take a look at the top golfers here, 10K and above here, just because. And this will probably be a pretty quick one, just because this is pretty straightforward. Rickie Fowler, the odds-on favorite. I would just play Fowler. I mean, look, let's put it this way. Like usually in a given week, Rickie Fowler is going to be significantly more expensive than a lot of these guys. Like Fowler's usually a guy like in majors, he's going to be in the low 10K range, like best case scenario, upper 9K range, but oftentimes like, lower 10K range. And, like Tiger, I know has been a little bit jacked up with his salary, but just like putting Tiger aside, like, Leishman's usually in majors, like upper 7K range, like Molinari is the same thing, especially Kyle Stanley. I mean, Stanley's a little bit more expensive probably because he's the defending champ. And so his odds are a little bit inflated. And, JB Holmes, Jimmy Walker, Kevin Na, like all these guys, like these are guys that are always like, at best case scenario, upper 7K in majors and oftentimes like, low 7K. So, I mean, the price difference here is only like, 1,700 at most here of these guys here. Or like $2,000, I should say. It's like a 2K difference at most, and for this week, and usually it will end up being like about $2,500 to $3,000, like at the worst, like the biggest differential with some of these guys here. They're in the 9K range, and so I really don't like this 9K range because I don't think there's much difference here between the 9K range and the 8K range here for all intents and purposes. And so this is just one of those things where I would just play Fowler, especially since I think it's going to be mostly a strokes gained approaching the green course, and that's usually Fowler's bread and butter. And also Fowler, we're still expecting some positive regression here with the plus 0.2 in his putting. So it's just one of those things where I would just play Fowler. Don't worry about whatever the ownership's going to be, and just go for it. It's really that simple. Marc Leishman, not my favorite price, obviously, 11,200, and I'm usually more pro Leishman. Well, I mean, there are a lot of people that are pro Leishman, but I'm usually definitely in the pro Leishman camp, I think, as most of you guys might expect. But for this price point, kind of sucks. He'll probably be lower owned because of that, because most people would rather just obviously grab Rickie Fowler if they're going to pay up, or just kind of grab the Tiger train just because it is his tournament and it is in the DC area, or I mean not the DC area, but like, I mean it is, but it's that it's a weaker field that some people maybe won't be afraid to play Tiger, and I think Leishman will be a little bit under owned. So GPPs, it's fine. But man, I just like, yeah, I wouldn't dump in a ton of ownership to him, and I definitely would not play him in cash. He's 144th, by the way, in strokes gained off the tee, which, Leishman's not usually a super strong player in strokes gained off the tee, but that's definitely, it's pretty bad for him, and so not the greatest form when it comes to that. And so, yeah, so anyways, that's my thoughts on Leishman. Tiger Woods, I mean, you guys know the drill at this point with Tiger. I'll just scroll over the strokes gained statistics. You guys know the strokes gained off the tee is still a work in progress. The putter has definitely cooled off here over the last few weeks after it started off the year pretty hot. And so it's interesting to kind of find out where Tiger's putter is at, because again, we just haven't had the last few years of data to really go off of for him. And so it's a little bit fascinating just, trying to see where his putter is at. And so I don't know, like it'll be, I don't really have a specific number I would say that we should expect Tiger at to be like, rock solid set in stone. I mean, he was really good in strokes gained putting in 2013, and he is historically a great putter in his career. And so I think it's a safe thing to say that Tiger should obviously be an above average putter, but I don't think he should be considered like a Jason Day or a Brian Harmon when it comes to the putting per se. And right now where he's at. So we have him at a minus 0.1 but we're at a plus like 0.108. So I would just ignore the minus 0.1 and just say just call it neutral for Tiger, honestly. It's just a little bit tough to tell for what we should predict to predict for him. And so I just wouldn't worry about it too much from that sense. So really what you're playing here is Tiger's ball striking going to be more on point here this week? Like it's been for most of the season. It was a little bit off, obviously, at the U.S. Open. And again, like I said in the previous episode for the Travelers, is that I wouldn't put U.S. Open results. I wouldn't put too much stock into it, because usually there can be definitely some higher variance results within that. And so wouldn't worry about Tiger's miscut there too much. And this isn't that long of a course, so that's going to help take the driver out of Tiger's hand. So anyways, long story short, actually last thing here, his odds are inflated here, obviously, because he's Tiger Woods. Like this, he's not 7.58. Like Tiger's 4 point something. That's really where he should be for how good he is right now. Maybe 5 point something. That might be a little bit unfair, but somewhere around in this neck of the woods. The price for Tiger is fine given this field. I just would not. The odds are inflated. And so anyways, for Tiger, I probably would not. I would not play him in cash, and I would probably try not to over-own him in GPPs, because he's kind of hard to over-own in GPPs right now, because there's still just enough popularity for him, and he's in still good enough form that it's not like everybody's just running away from him. And so it's just one of the, if you're just making a couple lineups this week, like what I would recommend, or just limiting the amount of lineups or money you do, I'd probably pass on Tiger. If you want to throw him in a lineup or two, whatever, that's fine. I mean, he could win, but I would just much rather play Fowler, who's only $700 more. It's just a much easier decision. Francesco Molinari here at 10,600. It's actually funny. Actually, out of all the players that are in this field, excluding the first three that we mentioned, of all the players that are listed below him, I think this is a fair price for Molinari given this field. And because the strokes gained putting, we really expect it to come around for Molinari, and we obviously have some pretty good data to go off of here with Molinari, who's usually just like an average putter. Running super cold this year. And so that's definitely going to turn around, I think. And so this is a nice spot for Francesco, because I don't know if a lot of people are going to want to pay $10,600 for Molinari. I think a lot of people will end up using Fowler. And I do think, some people will, chase a little bit in this 9K and then definitely upper 8K, upper to mid 8K range, so to speak. And so I don't think Molinari is going to be super highly owned. I think he's a great play in GPPs and, cash format. I mean, if you're using Fowler, you're probably not in cash, which you should be doing. You're probably not using Molinari in cash, but for some reason, if you really did not like Fowler and you were making a cash lineup, then Molinari would be the next guy I would recommend. But Fowler first over Molinari in cash. I don't think you're making a cash lineup that has both of them in it. So Kyle Stanley, I've ever since Kyle Stanley, I know Stanley kind of fell off the wagon there for a little bit a couple of years ago, but basically the first glimpse that Kyle Stanley was making his comeback, I was all in, because the tee to green game was never really the issue with him. He's one of the best ball strikers when he is in form. And so, but having said that, this is too expensive of a price for him because he is the defending champion. Putter's running a little hot, and I think that's certainly fair to say. he is a little bit tougher to track because he's been all over the place with his putter historically. But obviously, if you just take a look at it generally, though, he's like average at best. So he is running a little bit hot. It's just how hot we don't exactly know quite now. But the ball striking is pretty good. He's 52nd in strokes gained approach, 23rd in strokes gained off the tee. That's actually improved, which is good because Stanley was slipping a little bit there in that department. But he's back. After his last couple tournaments being improved in that area, but the price isn't my favorite. I would much rather play Molinari at 10,600 in all formats, but you're mainly making decisions here for GPPs. And then lastly, we are taking a look at JB Holmes, $10,000. Holmes obviously tied for second at the Travelers, third place at the FedEx, and 13th at the Memorial. So JB Holmes coming into form. This is just such a huge price jump, though. It's like I don't want to pay $10,000 for JB Holmes. I do think Holmes was due for a resurgence. He was on the Ryder Cup team just a couple of years ago, and he is a very good player. And I don't think anybody's surprised to see him back performing with some good results here. But 10,000, I don't know about that just because of a couple really good recent results, and so it's just a price thing. It's not like I'm really against him. If you want to play him in GPPs a little bit, that's fine, but not super into him. So that's it for this video. I'm pretty quick here this week. I'm not a big fan of the 9K range, so I'll touch on I'll touch on the guys I like below $10,000 as usual in the forum, but I don't even know if I'm going to mention anybody in the 9K range, but we'll see as I dive a little bit more into it in the next day or two. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'm Nick Yuskevich on Twitter. Daily Fantasy Winners is on Twitter at DFantasyWinners. And then thanks as always to the support on YouTube. All right, good luck, everybody.